Dr. Jaffe, can you comment on the effectiveness of the C cleanse process, especially on the digestive front? And would you be able to share some positive outcomes of a person who does this kind of cleanse and improves their bowel movements?
Well, I'm reminded of Albertson Georgi, the man who isolated vitamin C ascorbate from Hungarian paprika, as it turned out, who was asked how important is vitamin C? How important is nature's ascorbate? And he said, as important as oxygen and light. Ascorbate is the maternal antioxidant that uniquely sets the electrochemical potential of the cell, known as the redox potential. No other molecule in biology does that. And when you have a healthy ascorbate level, you have a low redox and you are protected from most infectious and most chronic ills. And when you have too little ascorbate, which many people suffer from, are afflicted by, you have a high redox. And now you're more likely to get everything from infectious agents all the way from prions to mycoplasma, because they thrive in a high redox, which means low ascorbate environment. And decades ago, we thought we knew how much vitamin C human beings needed, and now we know that it's quite individual, and that's why some decades ago, we pioneered the C cleanse. Use nature's ascorbate every 15 minutes until you have an enema-like evacuation. Don't stop when you get loose stool. Go for a loose, watery, enema-like evacuation. And if you take more than, say, 5 or 10 grams, which many people do in order to cleanse, now we want you to get engaged with lowering the anti-nutrient pro-oxidative harm and increasing the intake of the good stuff, including ascorbate, because ascorbate will sacrifice herself to rehabilitate many other essential nutrients in the body, lipoic acid, taurine, glutathione, FAD, and there are just almost a myriad number of activities that vitamin C helps optimize in terms of function and metabolism. And I think it was Dr. Sherry Lewin who pointed out that it's quite remarkable that one small molecule in biology, a derivative of sugar but not a sugar itself, can do so many things, so many helpful things when we take enough of it. Now, the amount you need to avoid severe scurvy is very little. And that's the basis for what we call the daily value, what used to be called the recommended daily allowance. So understand what those measurements and what those indices are. And what I'm talking about is how much do you need for optimum human function? How much do you need to have enough antioxidants to deal with the oxidative burdens of 21st century life? And so it is safe and effective. It is increasingly needed to do a C cleanse on a regular basis, because from the stress of high-tech living to the toxin exposures to the change in dietary quality, diets tend today to be more standard American diet, also known as SAD, Standard American Diet, which means too much processing and too little wholeness. So yes, with ascorbate as the queen of nutrients and the most essential of all, it works synergistically when it has the full symphony, the full suite of essential nutrients to work with, including magnesium choline citrate, the B complex, the carotenoids, the polyphenolics, the essential fatty acids, and other essentials that in the 21st century are increasingly hard to get. And yet you can access them through safer, more effective supplements from companies that are full disclosure. Today we would say green label, something that we helped pioneer decades ago, with full disclosure of every ingredient, and most importantly, in critical areas, the bioavailability. Because if you take something that doesn't get into you, it just goes through your intestines, it might be helpful for your intestines, but it isn't going to be helpful for you if the bioavailability is low. And in regard to minerals, many of them have very low solubility, very low bioavailability, and often contaminated with heavy metals that ascorbate can chaperone out when you have enough ascorbate. So, nature's ascorbate, yes, the sea cleanse, essential in the 21st century in order to live well and long and happy.